Spawned from the need of extra motive power following World War II, the NSWGR would order 20 new locomotives from the newly merged Baldwin-Lima-Hamilton Corporation. These locomotives would be designated the D59 class. Operated by the New South Wales Government Railways, the D59s were a class of 282 Mikado-type locomotives, with the design deriving from the United States Army Transportation Corps' USATC S200 class, a class that first appeared in 1941 as a lend-lease for the UK to operate in the Middle East during World War II. They had a boiler pressure of 200 pounds, tractive effort of 350,000 pounds, and weighed a little over 150 tons. Delivery commenced between August of 1952 through March of 1953. Upon arrival, they were assembled at Everleigh workshops already painted and lined, including US script lettering, which would eventually be replaced by New South Wales standard brass numerals. At the time of their order, labour relations within Australia were at a tempestuous status, especially following the 1949 coal strike, which crippled the railways and the general economy. With coal shortages resulting from the strike, the NSWGR ordered the 59 class as oil burners, being the first of such as opposed to conversions of existing locomotives such as the 55 class. This, however, limited their operations by the availability of oil fueling facilities, initially being allocated between the Enfield and Broadmeadow depots, running on the short north and on the north coast lines, as well as local workings and heavy shunting within Sydney and Newcastle. Another design choice was a specification of a noticeably shorter bobtail tender and a frame shortened by 14 inches compared to the other S200s. This was intended to allow the class to be turned on standard 60-foot turntables, with the alteration causing a considerable delay to their initial delivery. Ironically, it was eventually discovered that most of the 60-foot turntables were unable to accommodate the 59 class due to weight and balancing issues. Regardless of this, the 59 class were well regarded within the railways, with American aspects such as a spacious cab for crews, high running board and external pipes providing easy access for maintenance, as well as power, acceleration, and speed yielding operational flexibility. In 1961, a decision was made to convert the majority of the class to coal burning following escalating costs of oil. Between 1962 and 1966, succeeding a successful trial utilizing 5901, 17 in total were converted using ash pans based on the 38 class, fitting of brick arches, gates, as well as the fitting of 35 class smokebox doors to easily clean out ashes. The oil burners didn't produce any ash that had to be cleaned out regularly, so had airtight smokebox doors only opened during routine maintenance. You can identify the differences of the oil burners and coal burners through the smoke boxes, with the coal burners adorning larger doors compared to the oil counterparts. In addition, coal burners were denoted with a marking C on the right-hand side of the buffer beam, while the oil burners were marked with O. These modifications allowed the class to operate further out, operating on the main north line to Werris Creek and Armadale, banking duties on the grades east and west of Bathurst, then Enfield to Goulburn on the main south line. With an increase in traffic and diesel locomotive shortages, the coal-burning 59 classes saw their final years of service double-heading weekend goods trains on the North Coast Line's Broadmeadow to Taree section, a section which was dieselized between December of 1968 and July of 1969. Comparably, 3 59 classes, 5908, 5916, 5918, would remain as oil burners, with their remaining years of service as shunters at Grafton. 5918 would later be involved in a shunting accident, with its tender severely damaged. Subsequently, 5918 would then be used as a parts donor for 5908 and 5916, until their remains were scrapped in 1969. Both the remaining oil burners were then transferred to Broadmeadow in December 1970 to be used as stationary boilers. 5916 would then be sent to Everleigh workshops for the same purpose in August of 1974. In 1977, both would end up being transferred to Thermere for preservation. The 59 class worked for a significant amount of time, lasting up until the final days of mainline steam. Withdrawal began in June of 1969, with the last, 5910, withdrawn in December of 1972. Only 5 of the 20 remain: 5908, 5910, 5916, 5917, and 5920. As mentioned, the last two oil burners, 5908 and 5916, were transferred to Thirlmere for preservation in 1977. On the 27th of October 2009, both were road hauled, along with 30 Class 3805, to Goulburn Rail Heritage Centre for storage and display within the roundhouse. Currently, 5908 is undergoing static restoration. 5910 saw extensive use as a NSW RTM rail tourer locomotive from 1985 until 1998, where her boiler began deteriorating. 5910 is now on static display in the New South Wales Rail Museum Great Train Hall at Thirlmere. The last locomotive imported, 5920, is stored outdoors at the Dorrigo Steam Railway and Museum. One of the most regarded of the class, 5917, is currently the only fully operational of the 5 remaining. 5917 spent its last years at Bathurst banking diesels up Raglan and Tamula banks, wearing modified larger buffers, which she still carries to this day. Upon withdrawal on August 16, 1970, 5917 was stored at Enfield Locomotive Depot until being bought by a group of enthusiasts. In 1974, the Lachlan Valley Railway Society was formed for the initial purpose of operating and maintaining 5917 in addition to 4 carriages, with the loco being stabled at Park's Locomotive Depot before being moved to Carrow Roundhouse on 18th of June 1977. She would regularly operate a number of tours, as well as occasionally being hired by other heritage railways. For a brief period during the 1980s, 5917 wore an attractive, although unrepresentative, lined green livery, and was also paired with a smaller standard turret tender, originally belonging to 5367, while its original tender underwent a replacement of its tanks. 5917 and her original tender was withdrawn to undergo an extensive overhaul lasting throughout the 1990s, where by September 2007 would return to mainline operations, mainly being leased to 3801 Limited for steam tours between 2008 until April of 2009, when she was taken out of service for major boiler work and running repairs, returning back on the 5th of April 2014 for a private charter following successful trials. The locomotive was once again withdrawn in 2017 due to the condition of her driving wheel tires. She returned in 2019, now under Sydney Rail Services, as a primary locomotive for the picnic train, hauling regular tours to Kiama and occasionally to other regional areas. And there we have it, the 59 class, originating from a lack of motive power and coal shortages, saw 20 locomotives operating for a substantial amount of time, one still running strong till this day, displaying an impressive stance on American engineering. On a kind of related side note, as of now, Victorian Railways R-Class R766 is currently undergoing trials for mainline use by the picnic train, soon running alongside 5917, which is kind of really exciting, having a Victorian and an American running side by side within New South Wales.